Well, it has been a few days since Warhammer 40k Darktide has had its big 2.0 update. And essentially, it's something really along the lines of Cyberpunk 2077's 2.0 update. It is an immense overhaul of the leveling and class system for the game. Previously, your when you leveled up, you every few levels, every fifth level, you would get a point, and you'd get to choose one of 3 points on a horizontal little tree, and that would be your entire leveling system. Very much akin to Vermintide and Vermintide 2, but it just felt better in Vermintide 2. It did not feel good in Darktide at all. Everything felt really samey, while as in Vermintide, you not only had your base classes in that tree, you then had different professions, which, speaking of Vermintide 2, you have Sienna's fourth profession, the Necromancer, coming October 19th. Really excited for them. But getting back to Darktide. Darktide is almost an entirely new game now. There is so much different about it. Leveling, the choices during leveling feel like actual choices. It feels like a lighter system of having your professions in Vermintide, because each of the skills you choose, your aura for when you're in coherency, your ability, your throwable or grenade ability, something like that. It all feels like it really matters in Darktide now. And I mean, on top of that, Darktide had a really solid gameplay loop. It is the best they've ever done, and that's because it is a fantastic mix of the melee combat and ranged combat. Whereas Vermintide, it can be iffy there for ranged combat, outside of what I thought was really good for Sienna and the Elf. But they did a great job here. But in Vermintide, the only time the range combat really seems like it fails is when you're playing as an ogre, and just because you're a big, tanky, beefy frontliner, whereas everyone else just kind of does everything just as good. But yeah, there were so many changes done to Darktide that it feels like almost an entirely new game. It feels like the game should have when it launched. It should have been like when it launched. Ooh, what was that, into early access last year? Early this year? I can't remember. But I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. So if you played it previously, come back and give it a try. It's definitely worth it. They've done quite a few little brief updates here or there, but this is the big one. On top of that, they just have a whole bunch of extra new stuff in there. The mission select system's a little bit overhauled, a little bit easier, makes more sense. Quick play feels like it's actually worthwhile and values your time. Leveling up is a lot easier. Finding gear is a lot easier, and I'll get into that later in the video. I have a special portion I filmed for that, going over like the merchants and the town trees themselves and kind of how they're laid out, and how finding gear is and upgrading gear. But the game just feels really fantastic. This is hopefully a second coming for the game. I would hate to see it die. Fat Shark typically nails what they do. Vermintides were great. Darktide started off rough, yeah. Performance issues. It was at least stated to be in early access. But now it's out. It's on GamesPass as well. So you can play on console and PC GamesPass. There is crossplay. So friends on Steam can join you if they've already owned it, or you can just give it a try on GamesPass, then purchase it on Steam if you'd like to do that, or purchase it outright. I do think that with this update, it is almost an entirely new game. It is extremely fun. I've been playing it all day, the past few days actually, all day included, and I figured I would make a video on it. That, and I'll probably do something with Vermintide 2 when Sienna comes out, because I've been waiting for that fourth profession forever, and it's something entirely fun and new in a Necromancer game. So yeah, some more gameplay, and then we'll go ahead and throw up a little tour of the systems. I only show one of the classes. I only show the veteran just because I started playing on a new character. just to kind of get a feel for it. My Ogre and Psyker are already leveled up. The Psyker feels like a cheat, rather than having just like a Mind Burst. He could throw out a bunch of like homing needles that just hit everyone in the frickin' head and just one-hit things. So if you're with a high-level Psyker, it's kind of ridiculous. But anyways, enjoy some of the rest of the gameplay. And I think Veteran might actually be my new favorite over the Psyker, just because the combo of using a little combat axe and a revolver that just one hits ranged enemies, 2 or 3 hits elites and specialists. It's fantastic. It rewards me for being accurate with my guns, and the one-hit axe is cool. Maybe hopefully I'll get the chainsword out here for soon. But thanks for tuning in. I'll get into the merchants and the skill trees and kind of how they're laid out for everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And once again, if you do like this content, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate it and it helps me out. Thank you. Have a good weekend. So quite a few major changes with essentially Darktide's 2.0 update. What we're getting a lot of here. I'll you know, Cyberpunk 2.0. Just a little bit out. Challenges over here on the left. Where I am. Not quite there yet. Veteran. Exchange is really nice. You still have your typical original thing. You can go through and get some random weapons, rarities, different perks and stuff, that sort of thing. Go ahead and take this for the efficiency squad.
Will there be
you also
anything
have
else?
hammering, where you can just craft a base weapon of anything you want. Weapons. Ranged weapons. Based upon your character's abilities to build it.
Let us scour away old scars and awaken new purpose.
So, say, refine items if you don't like some of the stuff on here. But a lot of the big difference here is your currency is now shared across the entire account. So no matter how many characters you play, everything is earned on here. So you could essentially farm higher level character, like I did with Grin, or your low level character. That's why I have 2 transcendent items on here. 3, technically.
Omnissiah's shield, you varlet.
Go to the mission select. Also, the hub runs a lot better. So mission select's a little bit different. You have your big maelstrom in here, which does require different trust levels. It's a big mission, super rewards compared to everything else. So, for quick play, which technically just and then you have your Oracle up. You want to go up above difficulty. But yeah, we're not doing that on an 8. It's not even a 6. But it's pretty standard. And a 20% bonus. I think it's 20% for experience, 10% extra for. So unless you're playing with a pre-made group, this is just what's best to do. So, easy enough there. But the biggest change. So show this. Okay. The biggest change is the talent tree. Now you do have still 3 archetypes essentially, with how the old talent system worked. Now we have an actual tree, and it's giving you a bunch of choices on different passes to choose. So you start off here with your veteran, then you choose a passive, which you would like extra range damage, extra toughness damage reduction for coherency, sprinting costs, stuff like that, reloading speed. That would probably be best on my with how I use the Stunbo's pistol. But I don't want a smoke grenade, and I'm trying to get down here to Stoves first. But you have 3 choices here to modify your throwable or grenade. So, like, in the case of the Psyker, their ability different. Same with the Ogren, and same with the Zealot. But for the Veteran, Shredder Grenade, which just increases the normal frag grenade, causes bleeding. Crack Grenade, which is sticks. You want to throw it and stick it to like an enemy or a monstrosity. And your Smoke Grenade, which just confuses enemies pretty much. And you do have little tiny nodes, which just kind of give you a random for your op. And then more passives. And you get down here to your auras, which you provide to other players if they're within your coherency. So, like, Survivalist, it increases your, like, base 0.75% ammo replenishment when you kill a specialist, elite or a specialist enemy. But I have completely replaced that with Fire Team, which means you just get 3% damage increase for yourself and allies within your coherency range, or close kill. More movement speed if you're within coherency, but people run off and do things. More passives, more operator modifiers, more passives, which then we get down to your ability change. So you do have your standard one, volley fire, but then we can get executioner stance, which increases volley fire. Or I'm going for the highly modified one, voice of command, which if you're in a tight space, you can replenish your toughness and stagger all enemies within 9 meters of you, or one that makes you go invisible. The thing that really changes here is they do have more modifiers, and you can only select one of these. So you can see all elite and specialist enemies, and all of your allies will see them. This will refresh the duration of its bonuses. This will just show all ranged enemies, which I'm going for voice of command. Gonna revive knockdown allies, but it lowers my range. Sense, so whatever. Or your infiltrate, which does have a much. So not every single ability will have the same amount of passives, but you can only choose one passive for each. More random nonsense, little operator modifiers, more passives, and then you have your keystones, which, you know, do modify it's quite a bit. These are for your different abilities you use. You can only have one of these as well. So, obviously, you're gonna only be able to choose one or whatever. But yeah, the leveling system is a lot better. You do get 30 total skill points, so you'll have a few extras here or there. I'm only 8, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Still have 7, 9. I'll still have 9 points to use, scatter around, and collect different abilities if I want different passives. So, like, maybe extra grenade, or take this one then later on, or this one right here. Who knows? But the overall game has received a massive update. Even more so than when it was just crossplay, where some of the stuff was overhauled. That I think in its current state, this is probably what the game should have just released as into early access. Should have just let it bake in the oven a little bit. Because this talent tree is infinitely better than the terrible little system we had.